remember that dignity coming back. It's like you're not the charity case. You can give back while you're being given too. And that was a turning point for me.
I'm already juggling so many things, family and responsibilities. I don't have time to learn really all the ins and outs of podcasting, let alone produce episodes and market them.
Me too. But the beauty of podcasting is that once you set it up, it can actually save you time. We'll streamline everything so that you only spend about 30 minutes a week creating an episode. Plus, I'll show you simple automation tools to handle all the rest, making podcasting a time-efficient part of your routine.
Has your life, your dreams been interrupted? Good news. It is possible to reinvent our lives. People are doing it every day, and some are brave enough to share the struggles, disappointments, and challenges. If you are looking for a new beginning, a do-over, or to rediscover your passion, maybe even find a new one, then grab a cup of coffee and let's talk. Interrupted, Act 2, Reinventing Your Legacy, with your host, Coach Laurie.
Hi, Coach Laurie here. This is a replay of Karen Ray's new podcast that I had the big privilege of helping her launch. It's called the Being Brave Tour. And what I love about it is it's on the road. And she wants to go across the U.S. And so she has this bag. And when you get to where you're going to park for the podcast, and she likes to go to a park, so there's scenery, she pulls out this bag and she puts something on her window and her iPad up and a microphone, and voila, she has an in-car studio to do these amazing, fun interviews. And it was such a joy and honor to be with her and be part of this incredible day where she launched her podcast, but also to be the debut interview for her podcast.
Hey girlfriends, we are here. I'm here with Laurie Hardie, and this is our debut podcast of the Being Brave Tour, Convos on the Road, where we have brave, bold, unfiltered conversation. I am so excited to have you here, Laurie. And I have to say, I'm a little intimidated because this is what Laurie does for a living. She is a Seattle radio personality. You help people do their podcasts, you guide them, you coach them. And it is such a thrill to have you here. So,
Well, thank you. But I am so impressed with your setup for the road. I mean, I set up in my home or a coffee shop, but you got it going on here. This is amazing.
Thank you. And you know, my heart really wants to bring this to women across the U.S. to share their stories, to have these brave conversations, because it is not easy being a woman in today's world. And what if we celebrated those little brave moments that we put into our book of proof and share our stories with other women so they're not alone.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's the biggest thing.
Yes, and so we're going to talk today a little bit about your story, Laurie, and I think it's going to give some women just that great feeling of knowing I'm not alone. There's somebody else who maybe went through something that I did too. So tell us a little bit about you, first of all, and you are a mother, grandmother.
Yeah, a single mom of 3. They're all grown now, and grandmother of 6. They call me Grandma Lala.
Oh, Grandma. So where did they get that from?
Well, some of my radio friends, because for a while I would go by Laurie Hardie because Laurie Ann.
Okay.
People thought it was all Los Angeles, but it was just Laurie Ann. And so some of my radio friends would call me Lala.
Oh.
And so that's how it kind of evolved, yeah.
Oh, well, that's so cute. I just love how grandkids come up with their own thing too sometimes. So I am a Mimi, so we have that in common, that we both have grandkids. Today's grandmothers are nothing like yesterday's.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about your story, though. Let's paint a picture for the ladies of a brave time or you would think of a brave time for yourself that you would go, wow, I really had to be brave and I'm going to celebrate it.
Yeah.
So what did that look like for you?
I think sometimes, and I've learned this from you in your stories and in your book, sometimes brave doesn't look brave until you look back.
You're right, exactly.
It looks terrifying or scary.
Yeah.
Here's my networking thing. After 14 years of marriage and 3 kids, my husband left me for David. And not only that, he took my best tiara and cemented my status as a single mom. And my book is not about him being gay because I could have gone that route. I could have demonized him. But that wasn't the thing. There was no relief in that day and age. It was very pioneer. And so I didn't have anybody that said, hey, I've been there, done that. And I didn't have a way to then be the person who said, hey, I've been there, you want to talk. Like people would say, oh, I have a friend that happened to, can she call you? And then they would never make the call because it was hard. It attacked femininity. I remember one time I needed some help with a power bill. And because of what I went through, I had a very dear friend. She said, I'm not going to give you money, but I'm going to pay to have your nails done. And I had never really had my nails done. So she paid every, month for me to get my nails done. It was such a feminine thing that I needed. And when I went in to the pastor, he said, well, obviously you can pay to have your nails done, so we're not going to help you with the bill. So there was so much misunderstanding. I have a big faith. And so I knew God would take care of me, whether people helped me or not. I knew I could figure it out.
Right.
But I think for me, there was some really brave moments. And one was when I took the stand and I said, because I knew for a while, but also my kids were really little. But then when, I'll just call it an affair, came out in a small community, I had to make a stand. And I did. I made the stand. And I was a stay-home mom, Karen. I didn't have an income. I didn't have rich parents.
Okay, so let's unpack this just a little bit. So you have been going along in life. Maybe there's some signs that something's wrong. How many of you ladies recognize, as you go through, it's like something just doesn't maybe feel right. It doesn't seem right, whether the other person, whatever the situation is. So what were like kind of those feelings as you were recognizing some different things that popping up? What did it feel like inside?
It was so scary. And here was my turning point. I went to the library, and you know how they always have books you can buy? Yeah. And it was under comedy, and it was Barbara Johnson, and it was called The Spatula Effect or something like that. Okay. And I thought it was funny, and I pick it up, and I bring it home, and I start to read it. Well, her son had come out. And this was my no, like all the signs. All the signs. It was just like everything falling into place. And I knew what I knew. And so when my friend called me, he was a hairdresser, clue one. She called me and said, I just got my hair done and I'm concerned because I overheard a phone call, and I said, I just blew it. I go, I know, but I can't tell anyone. I haven't been able to tell anyone. And that dear friend came over right away, and that started everything in motion. It was I don't want to go into details. It was very difficult to walk through, keep my head held high, and dignity for my kids and my family in a small community.
Yes. So these different pieces, first of all, in a situation back in the 90s that was not common, that people didn't talk about. No. So just holding all of that emotion, you talked about not feeling feminine.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe the fear of walking out. Now you're a single mom. It's like, what do you do?
Right.
And you've got kids, and explaining that to your children.
Yeah.
You said you wanted to walk in dignity. So what was that next step as this woman tells you that, hey, I noticed something, and you're like, I know, but now how do I face that, and how do I walk forward?
Yeah. So when I drew the line, I always say he did cartwheels out the door because he wanted freedom. He knew, by then he knew, and he knew he had, married me on false pretenses. Now we have 3 kids. As I walked through it, I was a single mom. I didn't have a job, and I ended up homeless. My friend said, there's a Bible camp here. Not many people know about it, but we can probably get you a camper. And I'm like, over my dead body. I'm not living in a camper. Well, pretty soon I'm like, that camper
sounds pretty good.
That's right. So we moved into a camper on a Bible camp, and I worked in the kitchen for free, but the kids had the run of the camp. Now for my 12-year-old daughter, it was a nightmare. It was like, she felt like loser. The boys were exploring, so it was the best time of their life. But it was a time for me to just kind of breathe and recoup. I was working, even though I wasn't getting paid, and I got a teeny tiny amount of child support. But from there, I was able to regroup, and I was able to go. I did not want to go to work. My youngest was a very difficult child, and I knew living on an island, if I commuted to Seattle, it was going to be 12-hour days. And I didn't want to leave my kids. And so I think people thought I was lazy, but I found a way. I found a work-at-home opportunity before that was a thing.
Wow. So you really tapped into all kinds of resources. So as you're walking through a situation like that, who were the people or how did you get through it? Were you alone, or were there people that came alongside of you that you could tap into for support?
Yeah, I had some really good friends. And the thing is some of the really good friends were his friends too. And so there was no choosing. There was just support. And the worst thing was small town, little grocery store. I'd go to get milk. I just got to get milk and go home. And people would walk up and slap me on the shoulder and go, I knew it. And I would just sit there dumbfounded.
What do you say?
Yeah. I was like, idiot. Like, didn't you know? And so there were, sometimes I want to go, we have 3 kids. We have 3 kids. So there was a lot of that. People don't know how to respond at all. They mean well. They really do. But I had this one lady came up to me and she was a friend, but she just said, you know what, it's Christmas time and we want to put lights on your house. We want to make it great for your kids. So there were so many incidents like that as a single mom where I just said yes, because sometimes it's hard because I wanted to be the person doing for others. But I learned to say yes. And I remember I was at the little family resource center and they asked me if I could recover their chairs. Now, to me, that was I do that all the time. But because I sew, it's just stapling fabric on.
Right.
But to them, it was a big deal. And they go, we'll pay you. And I was like, nah. And they go, no, let us pay you. This is a way for you to make some money. And I remember that dignity coming back. It's like, you're not the charity case. You can give back while you're being given too. And that was a turning point for me.
Wow, just to have somebody believe in you. And we don't always recognize it and be able to name it. But yeah, these people were sowing good things into you to take your next best step. Yeah, so what was the next step? You've gone through a divorce, you're a single mom, you were homeless, and now finally getting somebody to kind of believe in you.
Yeah, so we ended up, I applied for kind of a caretaker of this big ranch, 55-acre horse ranch.
Oh my gosh.
And the guy he was an old coot, and he just goes, I don't want no single mom on my property. And so my daughter and I were sad because she had a horse, and I was not going to get rid of her horse. Everyone said, get rid of your animal. They gave us, you don't do that to kids. And then he called me back, and he goes, is this the lady that applied for living in my house? I go, yeah, you told me no, you don't want no single mom. And he goes, yeah, well, the horseshoer said I have to let you move in. So I had community that believed in me, and we moved in, and I raised my kids there, and I wanted to get back into radio, but I lived on an island, so I didn't.
So there's no radio on the island.
Not right now. And, well, yeah, but not money-making radio. Yeah. So, but what happened was when they got a little older and I decided, I kept my dream alive and I started applying to radio stations and, I would whisper because it felt so ridiculous, and I had this one lady because I was in the counselor's office where my office was when I started working for Big Brother, Big Sister. She said, well, don't quit your day job. I had applied and applied and I was at the top 3 of a pretty top Seattle station.
Coach Laurie here. You've been thinking about starting a podcast for months, maybe even years. But every time you sit down, the questions pile up. What will I call it? What will the cover look like? What am I going to talk about? Who will even listen? And where do I start? That's where Podcrafter comes in. It takes away the overwhelm and does the heavy lifting for you. Cover art, titles, even your tagline. It creates and scripts your episodes for you. It's programmed to do a podcast with the things that I teach. For instance, how to hit the road running, what's a good hook, all those things that take time and energy to figure out. Podcrafter does it for you. So in 7 days or less, you'll have a podcast ready to launch and you'll step into your role as the authority in your field. Your voice, your story, your stage, finally live. Go to Coach Laurie, LAURIE.com.
I had applied and applied, and I was at the top 3 of a pretty top Seattle station. And I got the message. They didn't choose me, and I was so sad. And in the afternoons, I would go to the Family Resource Center and meet with all the bigs and littles for Big Brother, Big Sister.
Okay.
So I called the ladies, and I said, listen, I know you're going to ask me about the job, but I didn't get it, and I don't want to cry. So please don't ask me. And after all the kids are gone, we'll talk about it. So I get to the Family Resource Center and there's this red carpet, school paper, red school paper and glitter. And I thought, I've been so caught up in my own self that I forgot someone's birthday. So I run to the back room and I'm like, oh my gosh, whose birthday did I forget? And they go, it's for you. It's a pity party. They had a pity party. There was a cake.
We should all do that.
I know. They gave me gift certificates. And I'll tell you what, I was done. I had said in my heart, I am done. I've tried. I gave it my best effort. And I made one more try. And that's how I got onto Metro Networks.
Wow, Laurie. And you just kept going. you just kept going and following your dream, seeing those possibilities. Oh my gosh, that is amazing. And to have those, I love that idea. So girlfriends, remember
Pity party.
the pity party, get it all out and then move on. I love that. And what a great thing to kind of keep in your pocket too for future.
And to feel loved and supported. Like, oh, we're so sad you didn't get it. It's like, no, you keep going. Like, it was really a turning point for me.
Wow. As you look back now, what do you kind of give yourself a hug about or a little pat on the back and go, you know what? I was really brave. And so what does that look like to you now?
I think it was keeping on, and keeping my head high in a community that knew everything. I remember when I finally moved off the island and nobody knew me, and it was so weird. People they weren't like, oh, you're the one. And so that was really nice. But honestly, I love the word believe. Believe. And my friend had gotten me a big black, those big black words like family.
Right.
And I remember looking at it one point when I was really down, and all I could see in the middle was L-I-E, lie. I would look at that sign and I saw lie. I have believed, I have always dreamed something big could happen. I've always had Pollyanna, I felt like. Yeah. And all I saw was lie, L-I-E, and I was so sad. And the very next day, my friend called and said, you've got to meet this man. His name is Patrick Snow, and he'll help you write your book. And I went to this coffee shop and met this man, and he helped me write my book. It was the very next day, and when I came home that night, I had so much hope. And I looked at that word believe, and I saw believe. I saw the whole word. And sometimes when I do talks, I'll take a scarf and drape it around so that all you can see is lie, because I thought, isn't that interesting? The force against us wants to go, it's all a lie. Right. You're never going to make it. You're never going to be and do what you want. And I look at my life now, and I'm living my best life.
You are. And not only your best life, you are now taking the beautiful stories of other women and giving a place to share their story and see what their truth is. And in the podcast and helping other women to create podcasts like this, you've come alongside me and given me so much support and believed in me that I can also share the stories of women, because it fills my heart. And because we all have a brave story. We all have a lot of brave stories. There's a lot to tell, but it's giving validation to our emotions that, you know what, I felt, whatever it was that you felt, and to bring it to light.
Yeah, like when I interviewed Jackie Cote, some of you know her, at the end when I said, I don't usually say this, but I said something about being married to a gay man. She goes, me too. And we had this great conversation, and she talked about the feminine thing too, and that's something that I hadn't been able to talk about, because people would say to me, well, at least it wasn't a woman. And I'm like, well, I could have competed with a woman. Those kind of things that we don't know and we don't talk about, because how do we?
Right.
And so for her and I, it was just so fun and so healing to just be like, me too. And I felt that. And for her too, her friends were like, we wondered when you were going to figure it out. And it's like, that's hard stuff.
Yeah, it is. But I'm glad you brought that up, because I don't think that's something that we hear a lot, is maybe when you don't feel feminine.
Yeah.
And so I know women who've gone through breast cancer or some other, different difficulties, maybe a marriage, or because that also goes along with your identity. So what would you say to that woman that maybe is feeling that today?
It's not about gussying up, even though I think our generation, get up and put on your makeup no matter what.
Curl your hair.
I know, get up and show up. But to really look at who you are, and we hear this a lot about love yourself, but what I've seen with so many women I've coached is they have deep self-loathing for the mistakes they've made. And when we can learn to radically accept all of our stuff, good mistakes, bad mistakes, whatever, when we can radically accept our life and embrace it for whatever the opportunity was, and to really look in the mirror and be able to say to yourself, I love you. And that is hard. And it's also very trite. It feels mere work, but it makes a difference, because have you ever been around someone that hates themselves and everything? Every time you try to compliment them, they're pushing against you, and it's not fun. And I thought, I want to be someone that when somebody says, I love your shirt, I want to go, I love it too. Isn't it awesome? Isn't that the kind of people we want to be and be around?
Yes, absolutely. I have had some conversations recently where, we're talking about having love for yourself or accepting or whatever. And I finally, for me, came up with a word that works for me. And it's the word honor.
Oh, I love
if I can honor who I am, because I don't have to like everything about me, but to honor who we are. And it seems like that's really what you have done and do with these women's stories. You're honoring their story and whatever it is that they went through, putting it on this beautiful platter and how it can work to better the world.
Yeah. You know, Karen, for a while, I started a day center in Everett for homeless women. And it's Esther's Place. And I started it, I ran it for a few years, and it was time to hand it off. But one thing I realized, these ladies didn't want to tell their stories. Why? Because they were stealing. And many of them were prostitutes. And even to this day, the ones who've been clean and sober 7 years and they're finally telling their husbands, guess what? It's like, those are not fun stories, but you know what? They matter. And I'll never forget this one story. This woman who had gone through the Queen program and the Chef program, and she was an amazing young woman. She was getting her child back, getting housing, and she was volunteering with me. So I knew her as clean and sober. I loved her. And she was a smoker, so she would go out and smoke with the ladies. And I wasn't a smoker. I stayed inside. But one day she's standing there. I'm looking at her, and she looks at the door, and this woman comes in, and she's got the best, biggest smile, but she's filthy dirty. You know, she's been sleeping outside. And she comes in with this big smile. Her name was Mindy, and I'll never forget her. And they saw each other. Little Miss sober, clean and sober, perfect woman that I love, and this person who's come in from maybe a dumpster. And they started screaming and hugging each other. So I'm looking at them, and I'm like, how do you know each other? And they look at me, and they go, jail. But see, that's the beauty of the story.
Yeah.
If she could do it, so could she.
Yeah. Oh,
I know.
So if we can focus on those things, not the story itself, and you know, because there is a lot of times there's shame and whatever.
Sure.
And
It's not about the details. You always say that,
It's
and
not
I
about
love
the
it.
details.
It's about the learning.
It's about the learning and those lessons, and be proud and celebrate that we had to tap into this grit, and you know, we had to find our femininity again, or you know, whatever it is for you girls, whatever it is, let's celebrate how we got through the difficult times.
And who we are now.
So as we end, how do you celebrate you now?
I celebrate myself. This was so crazy. My sister has a beach house in Oregon, and we love hunting agates. We've done it our whole life.
Okay.
And so I was there for a weekend with family. They all left, and my sister said, why don't you stay? And I'm like, I can't. And I was like, I can. I've opened these doors because I'm semi-retired. I'm still in Seattle radio, but filling. And I'm celebrating me by now doing the things that I could never do because I was a busy working mom.
Yay.
I rock hunt, and I garden, and I love books on tape. I love road trips. I love horses. I get to go ride once in a while. I raised my kids with horses, but now I live in the city. So
yeah. Well, I'm so glad, and it gives us an idea. When I started asking that question, how are you celebrating yourself? It gives other women ideas too. Wait, I can celebrate myself, and not just love on myself. Or it's like, no, I could actually do something more.
Right. It's not a bath. I hate baths. Calgon, take me away. I could never relate to that. But what I do with my clients is I ask them to make a list of 20 things they love. And it takes a while if they've really been in a hard situation. And it's always my kids, my dog, but when they get to a candle, all the things they finally remember they love. And I go do that for a minute. Go light a candle. Walk to the beach. Do something little. It doesn't have to be a grand gesture. Just something loving that brings you joy.
Girls, so this is our final thought. Go do something that you enjoy, even if it's for 1 minute.
Yeah.
Write it in the comments. Let us know what you're doing, because what you're doing might also help somebody else to go take a moment for themselves.
Here's my big goal.
Okay.
Hot air balloon.
Oh, wow.
I so want to go up in a hot air balloon.
Okay, so you let us know when you go.
I will.
Well, it's been such a joy, Laurie. Thank you for sharing. I know that's a big story that you've had to walk through. I mean, just besides just going through a divorce, but with special circumstances, raising your children on your own, getting back into radio, and here you are today, lifting other women up and all that you do.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, ladies, we will see you next time on The Road.
If you love this podcast, here's a big ask. Will you share with your friends and family, subscribe, give us a review, and a 5-star rating so that others looking to reinvent their lives will be able to get the help they're looking for? Thank you in advance.